politics. So on Mondays we talk about ways that politics negatively impacts the way you make, save, and invest money. Then Tuesday we talk about different ways that uh, uh, you can make money online or in person, different ways that you can budget your money, different ways that you can, Michael's doing a countdown, different ways that you can budget that money, then different ways that you can invest that money. So after that happens, then you're able to put the money in places where your money is making money for you. Next, we have on Wednesdays different countries around the world that you can invest in. So you can see outside of Monday's show, because I haven't put up Monday's show, because I want Monday's show to be like the closest thing to breaking news, but I got to do research on the breaking news. So like the last 7 days. So I'm moving about as fast as uh I'm moving about as fast as last week tonight, where I curate all the information from the last 7 days and then I talk about it today or Monday. Then we have on Tuesday, we're going to be talking about ways to improve your credit limits and your ability to acquire credit cards as opposed to working on your credit score, which is a different topic than what we've had before. And there were some other financial topics that I was going to do, and I got to go back and look at some of the other shows that I was talking about them in and pull those discussions and put them into the queue. So you're going to see over the next week, we're going to try to keep up a 14 to 21 day level of videos up here, but it really just depends on how well vidIQ works for us because we get a lot of our SEO information and thumbnails and everything off of vidIQ. So vidIQ has updated their situation and they're giving us a limited 2,000 credits to do a month's worth of video editing and this is the first month that they're piloting it, and I'm gonna let them know, hey, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it's gonna put us in a position where we may have trouble with getting our thumbnails out as fast as we want them to, right? So we're gonna see what we can do, but we're moving through it, and as we move through it, because we're getting everything out of there, and as we move through it, we're gonna be updating you as to how that works. Because eventually, I got to give you a vidIQ video. Then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we talk about ways to improve yourselves. We were talking about how to build a better professional wardrobe. That show lasted like 3.5 hours, almost 3 hours and 45 minutes. We're going to be having a more enhanced version of it next week, Saturday. We're going to be including things that kind of just ruin your ability to succeed with your wardrobe next week, Saturday. But typically, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we talk about self development, self improvement, relationship topics. We talk about how to build your brand. Uh, and networking, right? I think I covered that already. But then we also talk about in your professional life, your ability to negotiate raises, promotions, retirement, and even severance packages. And after we cover all of these issues, then we start talking to you guys about building your 20-year plan because you got to know where you want to be at in life and then figure out what you got to do to get there. If what you got to do to get there depends upon you hitting the lottery, it's not likely that you're going to meet that goal. It's like, I'm gonna keep playing scratch offs until I win a lottery, and then when I do win a lottery, then I'm gonna. That's not gonna work. It has to be step by step, actionable stuff that allows you to be able to proactively get involved with something, and then based on the results of your actions, you end up with certain levels of success. And from those certain levels of success, then you're able to play into other areas of success. That's when you're capable of making it work for you. Now, I also said that's what I remember. It just dawned on me. I was thinking about after talking about credit cards, talking about um, what efforts need to be done with making offshore bank accounts in certain countries around the world, because that's one of the things that I wanted us to get ourselves into. Um, so that's probably going to be something we're going to cover next week, Tuesday. Now, today, um, as the world turns, Young and the Restless, Bad Girls Club, Murder She Wrote, all of those soap operas, we're going to be going through some comments. Some of these comments are going to be full of um, conflictual individuals because things have happened that they weren't expecting to happen. And I'm going to talk about them. You guys feel free to comment. If you're watching us from Twitter or Twitch, you guys feel free to comment. Michael should still find us a book of the day. and then we should be able to keep our comments appropriate because some people uh, are going to be coming from a one-sided perspective, but we're going to tiptoe through this. Michael says, "You'll never be wealthy if you don't have the drive." That should be on a shirt somewhere, right? And it should be like a car that is like a driver in it that and the phrase under it and the dude's got money coming out of his exhaust pipe crashing into a wall full of cash, you know. But let's go ahead and dive into this one and let's see what we got going on for the first one.
I think I need a divorce. For context, I've been with my husband for 9 years total.
Uh-oh.
I'm 27, he's 28. We got
Hold on
married
a
one
second
month
now.
before our son was
This
born.
is gonna be one of
Our
those
baby
things
is
that I
now
can't
14
believe.
months old. There isn't some explosive cheating scandal or obvious abuse. It's more subtle than that. And somehow that almost makes it harder. For the past few years, I've felt like the responsible one. The one always thinking ahead, so he can be in La La Land. It wasn't always like this, but it definitely shifted gradually until I found myself here. When I found out I was pregnant, part of me truly believed it would make him step up. Silly, I know. It didn't. I oversee and plan every single thing in our life, everything in our house, everything our son has, every appointment, every purchase, every detail. Maintaining the house, putting food on the table, all of it. Even if we're ordering in, I have to figure from where and what it is. We both work full time and he contributes financially, but it's the executive functioning that is crushing me. I have to think for both of us. And when I try to talk about it, it's like he doesn't even hear me. Like I'm not there. Or he gets defensive. Even with something as basic as protection, he wouldn't take initiative. I had to bring it up multiple times until eventually I had to buy it. This was after I got pregnant again 6 months postpartum and had to have an abortion because protection doesn't feel good, and he said he pulled out. I was deep in postpartum depression and didn't have the mental capacity to fight harder for myself. Even during and after the abortion, I carried the mental load. And yes, I still had to buy the condoms myself. Worst part? I didn't even want to have sex anyway. Just doing it to appease him since he constantly asks. But what woman wants to have sex when her needs aren't met? It made me feel unprotected in more ways than one. Like my body and my safety were my responsibility alone. And that dynamic shows up everywhere. I carry the emotional weight. I carry the mental load. I carry the consequences. We also work together. And I've watched him slack at work too. Spending time watching videos and smoking when he should have been working from home. He says he's been depressed for about 6 months, but he hasn't done anything to address it. No therapy. No real changes of habits to try to get better. Now things are slipping at work, which means he has to be there more to fix what he let slide. Which means even more falls on me at home. Ironically, that's only shown me how much I can truly handle on my own. It's made me more confident that I could survive a divorce. On the flip side, I've been dissociated for years, honestly. Probably the whole time we've been together now that I'm thinking about it. I experienced a lot of trauma in high school before we met. But having my son snapped me out of that. I've been consciously trying to better myself ever since. Going to therapy that I've needed for a while. Eating right and working out to lose excess weight. And I stopped smoking when I found out I was pregnant and didn't start again after. I do hit my pen sometimes, but I have a medical prescription, and it doesn't affect my parenting or ability to be an adult. So watching him move in the opposite direction is even more frustrating. At this point, I genuinely feel like he's holding me back. It feels mean to say. On top of that, he's a mama's boy. She constantly promises things, says she's coming, says she'll help, and then doesn't show up. Over and over. And despite the lies and letdowns, he believes her every single time. I feel like I'm married into a triangle where I'm the outsider. I've begged for change since I was pregnant. Not grand gestures. Basic partnership. Pick up after yourself. Help with the house. Be consistent. Communicate. Show up emotionally. I need consistency, not a good week after a fight. Now that I'm serious about leaving, suddenly he's willing to do therapy. A few months ago, I asked for couples counseling as a last resort and he said no. Then about a month ago, I told him I was done and wanted a divorce, and suddenly he's open to counseling. I told him if we're doing this, he has to find the therapist because I cannot be the one fixing this too. He says he wants to, but he still hasn't actually taken the steps. I think I'm setting the deadline for him to find anyone for the end of this weekend. It's been a month. Monday will be a new day, and I'll most likely be reaching out to a lawyer. Why did it take me breaking? Why did it take me saying I'm done? I've been asking for the same things this whole time. Now too much has happened, and I'm resentful. If he changed, I probably still wouldn't get over everything that's happened. I've had to carry way too much postpartum. We both work, so we both should contribute equally at home and with our son. I am not accepting less anymore. I'm exhausted. And when I imagine my future, I picture peace. Just me and my son in a calm space. And that makes me feel horrible because he isn't some monster. He's not evil. He's just emotionally immature, defensive, inconsistent, and comfortable letting me carry everything. But I'm tired of mothering a grown man while also raising a toddler. My lease is up in June, so it feels like there's a clock ticking. I don't want to make a rash postpartum decision. But I also don't want to waste more years hoping someone becomes who I've already asked them to be. And I really don't think this is rash at this point, right? If you've been in something similar, how did you know it wasn't just exhaustion or hormones? Did they actually change long term? Did you regret staying? Did you regret leaving? I feel lost, guilty, and resentful. And I just want peace.
How do I explain this to my girlfriend without crashing out? I'm an overall
Oh, you. Oh,
optimistic guy. I usually don't really
oh, my bad. I'm sitting over here trying to hear this because it's not going through my headphones real quick. Uh, she should feel guilty. She should feel guilty. This on her. This ain't on him. This on her. And hold on, he says she got those postpartum blues from the top of her to the bottom of her toes. Got a dime of it right. Look, okay, I think you hit the nail on the head, Michael, because first and foremost, apparently they were smoking weed and smashing. And one day she got knocked up. I was trying to decipher throughout the whole time that she was talking if she kept the first child or not. But apparently she kept the first child because she said that her son is motivating her to behave at least for being a mother, right? So out of the two kids that she had gotten pregnant with, she only kept one of them. Now, she didn't get married to this man because she was wife material. She got married to this man so that they would not have what is socially considered an illegitimate child born out of wedlock. Now, the problem that I have with that is that the fact that they were hanging out and smashing and smoking weed, they didn't necessarily have to be in love with one another in order to get married for the sake of the child. It was a consistent sex partner. It was the fun that the masculine men that are looking for wife material discourage from women that have high body counts. Now, she Michael, you said she's not there. She's got the she wants abortions and she's got the condoms and everything going on. First and foremost, why is it only about her throughout her entire complaint? She's mad that the man isn't doing what she wants him to do. She sounds like the husband. She has the man mentality where he's supposed to be at the house cooking and cleaning and this, that, and the third because she's got a job. And I don't understand and I don't agree with the modern way that women think, where the women are free from responsibility. All of the responsibility must be on a man. And if the woman has to step up in any scenario, she's doing too much work and it's all on her and this, that, and the third, because men carry the load 95% of the time, if not more. And the fact is that if the man is not carrying the whole load on his shoulders, the woman is going to ask him to take on more of the load. Now, I'm going to be real. If dude is at the house more than she is at the house, he does have the capability to do some of the stuff around the house. That I will agree with. If he's at work and she's at work, they should have been able to budget. A special shout out to Enu. If he was at work and she was at work, then they should be able to budget a housekeeper and a nanny if they don't have the time to come back to the house and do some of the stuff around the house, right? Instead of having lifestyle creep where they're living at 99% of their income, they should be able to live modestly and be able to factor that in to having the ability to have a nanny and potentially a housekeeper, and that nanny can be the housekeeper, which kind of helps out. Neither. We come from uniformity, so we talk about things that don't make sense, and then we try to make them make sense. And then any logical and rational explanations about like just the first comment that just came out earlier, we talk about what went wrong with the decision making process, and that's going to be the other part that I'm getting into because the lady claims that she had the abortion for the second child, and then after she had the abortion, she didn't have it because, and this is one of the biggest arguments that I've ever had about abortion, is because it is not because the abortion doesn't come from you being snatched in a dark alley and being taken against your will. This isn't the abortion coming from you being snatched into a van with no windows and taken against your will. This is a situation where you had consensual engagements with your romantic partner, and because you didn't want that responsibility or you did not have the financial capabilities for you to feel comfortable with taking care of the child, you will eliminate a child that did nothing wrong, that could have thrived and potentially became a doctor, lawyer, nurse, astronaut, football player, and funded your adulthood. But you terminated potential because you didn't want to be responsible. And I think that makes no sense to me. Now, I don't, and that's the factor that I don't agree with abortion. Then on top of that, she did it because she wanted to. That's right. The second child had no say in the life. I protest against that as well. Now, the other problem that I have with that dynamic is that men want to be fathers, and every time she accidentally gets pregnant, at the end of the day, that's his legacy. Women don't care about that. If a man wants to be a father and he's two, three, 5 kids, 7 kids, 12 kids down the line, the second kid might have motivated the man to put more effort into getting more stuff done on the job, right? However, when she got the abortion, she killed his child. That was her choice. He didn't make her do it. She chose to do it. She killed his child. And when she killed his child, yeah, she's going to have the postpartum depression. But what makes you think the man is not also going to have the postpartum depression? Because you killed his child. Not only does he have the postpartum depression from you killing his child, he's also going to hold resentment towards you for killing his child. So when women get an abortion, they feel like, oh, it shouldn't matter because the child wasn't born. You killed it. That matters. That matters, right? Uh, they don't the heartbeat is what indicates life there, right? When you take the life of another, thou shalt not. That's one of the commandments. And when she did that, like that was it. So she's like, oh, well, he's been moping for 6 months. Sounds to me like he was going through it too, right? He said the last thing a young man is thinking about is marriage and kids. Pass the joint. Well, I can agree with you on that, Michael. While the young men do want to be fathers, that is the last thing that they're thinking about is getting married, and the last thing that they're thinking about is having kids, which is why the young men are not approaching the dating game differently and socializing platonically with the women until they're willing to commit to the possibility of children with that woman and committing to the possibility of marriage with that woman. And as a result, they end up smashing girls that they don't like, smashing girls that they're not attracted to, taking one for the team and smashing the cute girl's friend for their homeboy so that their homeboy can get the cute girl. But then you got to ask yourself in your social group, if you're the only guy that's always doing that, then it makes no sense why you are always taking the not so attractive chick. But that does show a hierarchy in your group because I mean the alpha is going to get the best pickings and then the betas are going to get whatever's left over. all of that leads to this type of relationship where the girl doesn't have the dude that she really wants. And she's been despising it the entire relationship because they're together out of duty. I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter if the child is born into the relationship or not. You should never be together for the sake of the relationship. I mean, for the sake of the child. You should never be together for the sake of the child. You should be together for the sake of the relationship. So now that she's talking about she's doing a therapy herself. He wasn't doing therapy. He was going through it. She was going to therapy. He wasn't. Now that he's trying to go through therapy, she's making it seem like he's not applying himself. Bro, the emotional stability is supposed to come from her for him because she killed his child. She didn't bring that, right? So she went to therapy and she got fixed allegedly, but she did not go over there and try to make amends for him for eliminating his child. He said, when you're done with her, send her over here. Hell nah. And it went south for the border. So these are the complications that makes us stop and think like this is not going to work for us, right? Because the behavior patterns that she admits is not the behavior patterns of the type of person that you really want to be involved with, right? That's one of the biggest issues. So she's claiming that she resents him and she may have always resented him and this, that, and the third. And yeah, this is one of those relationships where if she's not going to put forth the effort to fix the relationship, the you just got to get a divorce. You just got to get a divorce. The dude isn't going to leave her because if he leaves her, she's going to take the child and put him on child support. And I'm going to say it exactly like that. It is not her responsibility to take the child. It is her choice to take the child. And when she forcibly takes the child and then forces the man on child support because she has a child and then justifies it as, oh, he created it. Yeah, but you could have gave it to him. You could have gave him the child and paid him child support and let him keep the child. Or you could have gave it to him and let him figure it out and you not pay child support, just show up and spend time with the child and disappear and live your own life and keep your money in your own pocket. You know what I mean? So, that so yeah, that was pretty reckless, but she put us in a very interesting situation. Let's go ahead, like Michael said, dive into the next story.
Really give a shit about bad stuff. And there's this girl I've been dating for the last 9 months. TBH, I think our relationship is perfect. We really love each other. We are basically the same, but there's one thing that separates us. She's so pessimistic. She talks so much about how ugly, idiot, useless, and worthless she is. I appreciate that she talks to me about this stuff and how open she is. But lately, I feel like I had enough. This is like all we talk about now. We come back home. We get on call a few hours later. We start talking, joking, laughing, and then a while later she's having a crash out about how ugly she is and I'm trying to comfort her. And in these calls, me comforting her does not help at all. If she at least gets a little better after me comforting her. A few minutes later, the same stuff happens again. And then in the end, after I get fed up and talk a little annoyed, say stuff like, "Can you stop talking about this stuff? I think you're pretty, and the stuff you say about yourself is bullshit. They don't make any sense." She gets mad at me and hangs up the call. Even if she does come back, she doesn't talk to me for hours. It makes me want to pull my skin off. Today, it's Ramadan, I'm fasting. I don't really do this stuff often since I'm not that much of a religious guy, but my friends invited me to fast together and then hang out. I accepted, and I never realized not eating and drinking drives me this crazy. My girlfriend called me while I was in home watching a movie, and then you know what happened after. She now had 5 new insecurities about herself, and was shouting about it in the call. I already was having a shitty day, and when this happened, I decided not to talk, because I knew that it was going to make stuff worse. So she continued, and then changed the topic, like 20 minutes later. Now was talking about her mom walking into the room and accidentally stepping on some item. She showed the item to me on FaceTime, but it wasn't clear what it was. I asked, "What is that?" And since I was trying to hold back my feelings but was failing at it, my voice came off annoyed. She said, "Oh, okay, never mind," I'm hanging up. She hangs up the phone and doesn't look at the message I sent asking about why she hung up. This is so tiring. She thinks all the bad stuff is about her. And when I try to make her feel better, she thinks I can't understand her because I didn't go through the same stuff. Of course, I have a couple insecurities about myself, like any other human being, but I don't talk about them all the time because I hate being miserable. I always try to take things slow with her, but I think she doesn't seem to be happy with it. I love her and don't want her to be this sad about everything. I think that she's the prettiest girl ever and don't understand why she's so upset with her looks and all the other stuff. What do y'all think I should do? Am I doing something wrong?
I just need to get this shit off my chest, man.
I just caught that because I got the delay because I'm trying to hear it to make sure I'm hearing what's going on. So, yeah, they got plenty of they got plenty more than 20 years. Yes, like Michael said, low self-esteem. It's more than low self-esteem. From what I understand, these two are both around or a little bit under 18. So the first and foremost is that while she does have low self-esteem, she does have levels of depression that can clearly be seen in her discussions. She does need a lot of therapy. Somebody actively in her life is discouraging her from valuing herself, whether it's her parents, whether it's her siblings, whether it's her friends or people that she calls her friends that are actively discouraging her with feeling good about herself as she is venting with her boyfriend. So the first and then she's self-traumatizing herself with devaluing herself. There is truly hope there. She would have to go to therapy, remove herself from the situation that has her, yeah, incels, having her in situations um, where she's being devalued by other individuals. He's not going to be able to make her feel better about herself. There's nothing that he can do to make her respect herself more. And it is not his responsibility to make her respect herself more. Because like Cat Williams said, your self-esteem is the esteem of your motherfucking self. So I am not in control of your self-esteem. I'm in control of my behavior in front of your self-esteem. So I will never crack jokes about your looks. I would never crack jokes about your stupid behavior. I would never crack jokes about your idiotic decision making. So if you do something that make me decide to say idiot or stupid or something to that effect, then in my mind, I'm gonna look, think, and keep that to myself and be like, I picked this one. That's it. That's it. You know, you know, like a lot of us that are emotionally secure, like, are you dumb? Are you deaf? Are you know what I mean? And we're strong. Those Gen Xers, we're strong. We take this kind of stuff. But she's not one of those people that can take that. So knowing that if you're going to stay with this woman, you're just not going to make those types of comments. You're never going to comment on how she looks. If it's not a compliment, you don't say nothing. If she's going to respect your judgment on how she should look, if you don't think that that looks well on her, or it doesn't fit appropriately, you just make it clear that I don't like the way that fits you, not because you're big or anything to that effect. Just specifically, I just don't like the way it fits you. I want you to wear something different. Now, if she don't listen to that, then you might as well break up with her anyway, because I mean, if she ain't gonna respect you now when you under the age of 18, when y'all 38 years old, like Michael said, call back in 20 years, 20 to 40 years, call back. Uh, the situation is not going to get any better as far as you having to deal with this emotional baggage that she has. If you break up with her, she's going to have to get some therapy or remove herself from the traumatizing environment in order for her to find improvement in her life, in order for her to see difference before she gets into her next relationship. And you, fella, you put your time and effort into making sure that you don't pick another chick that is emotionally damaged, because some guys find themselves psychologically attracted to, before she opens her mouth, chaos. And you can just sense the chaos in this person's behavior patterns. Then when you start talking to them, you can sense the chaos in this person's discussions. And then you end up, I can fix her. And then you go in there, and whatever it is, whether it's an emotional blanket, whether it's a Captain Save a Hole with finances, or whatever the case may be, you're always putting yourself in that hero position to save her from herself. Don't save her. She don't want to be saved. Let her go through whatever it is that she's going through. After 18, she grown. Under 18, you're not supposed to be dating her no way. So once she get it together, then y'all can make it work. But there's a lot of hope in that relationship because if you care about her and she's willing to listen and learn, y'all can work it out because y'all got 50 years, 60 years to get this right. But you're going to have to proactively start with the cause of the trauma and then work your way through rectifying her ability to address the trauma. That one was simple. Let's go ahead to the next one.
I've been with this girl for 2 years now, and I don't ever recall her saying a single good thing about me. And I'm so serious. She doesn't compliment me, doesn't apologize, only ever highlights my flaws. She likes to remind me why I have no friends and family because I'm this awful, disgusting person. Word for word. She's controlled my life so much. Jobs, social media that I've had to delete. Controlled my finances. Physically has hit me many times and likes to threaten cops when I try to leave. TBH, she has reduced my life down to living in her closet because I moved 7,000 miles from home for this failed relationship. I've been in this closet for 3 months now just being emotionally abused and controlled, and I'm losing it. She lives with her parents, so this is their house, and she refuses to make something out of her life. I've been thinking about escaping, but it's been too cold. But now that the weather's warming up, I'm starting to feel a lot more confident about it, even though I have no direction or even the money to replace my lost ID so I can actually just start my life over. What it all to do. I just know my resentment has turned to hatred and the thought of leaving her feels like breaking free. I hate her.
Am I overthinking? So my husband has been complaining about issues with one particular woman at work. Every time I went in the Am I overthinking?
Hold on, we're gonna get to her in just a second.
Complaining about issues with one particular woman at work. Every
Um,
time I went
so Michael, first you said I was awkward when I was 12, bought a book on how to talk to girls. Well, when I was 8, 10, 12, I had my father, uncles, people like that that I could talk to about how to communicate with girls. Then I also had my mother telling me things about how to communicate with girls. So um, I had an older sister, so I was able to observe how other guys would communicate with my sister, and then I just kind of wung it after that. In between 8 and 15, I had more female friends than I actually had girlfriends because it wasn't that effort. Then between 15 and 20, that's when picking up chicks used to be like a cakewalk back in the day. But back in the day, back in the 90s, they weren't really asking for you to subsidize their entire lifestyle just so that you can get laid one time. You know what I mean? Back then, you just had to be funny, witty, and protective. As time went on, they start being overly demanding upon all of these finances without them putting any effort into deserving it. So I didn't know that they even had books, but I figured they could have made it, but I didn't even know that they even had books on how to talk to girls 50 years ago. But wow, that's crazy that we put so much effort in as men trying to figure it out. If there's no one there to tell us about it, we'll go to the library and go pick up a book, and learn, but women don't do that. He said, remember to like and subscribe. And what, you're living her parents' home, get out bum. Now, I disagree with that too. Okay, so I felt two sides to this because the first side, I felt like you. I felt like, man, what the fuck you doing living in this girl house? You're a man. But uniformity dictates that the same way, if young man was living in his parents' house and his girlfriend moved into his parents' house, is the same way that this woman could have this man flying from another country or from the other side of the country, where if one of them was on the East Coast and the other one was on the West Coast, and they flew to the opposite side of the country. They start putting themselves in a position where um they didn't have any finance. Now, if you're an American citizen and one of y'all was in, say, New York and the other one was in California, and you flew to another country, I mean another state inside of the country, um, you should have flown over with your social security card, your birth certificate, and at least your ID. I don't know where the fuck his ID went, but if he doesn't have a job, he can go down to the Department of Children and Family. He can not even that. He can actually contact the local law enforcement and report his ID lost or stolen, and then take that police report, go down to the DMV. He's still going to need his birth certificate and social security card, and then they will replace his ID. If he's not updating his ID, he could have made it clear that he came out here to visit. He's only been out here for a couple of weeks. He's seen that his wallet was missing out of the hotel. He doesn't know where it went. The police officer puts out the police report. They give you a free ID, so there isn't a reason why he doesn't have an ID. But if he's staying with this chick and this chick is supposed to be in love with him or whatever, he should be able to take that ability to get it from her if he's a young man. But if he grown, if he old, because when we think about a man moving into a woman's house, we think that he like 30 years old living in his mama's house, and that's not always a thing. He could be like 17, 18 years old living in mama's house. And if that were the case, then hey, sir or ma'am, can I get $30 to get my ID so that I can get a job so that I can do better about your daughter, kind of thing. Uh, that what's that is appropriate because she probably don't got no damn job and she living off of her parents too. So if they're letting you live in a house, then you've been taken in as their dependent. So they should be able to give you $30 to get your ID so that you can help pay the rent. But it requires a little bit of effort there. Now, as it stands, Michael said 50 years ago, even Pluto was writing about talking with women. Well, I mean, I understand that 150 something, 250 years ago, that Aristotle and all of these people were philosophizing on these things. But I'm talking about like just having like a how to talk to girls like small booklet or whatever the case may be. That I just didn't think about that when I was growing up. You know what I mean? So now I know now today that they've been making books like this for generations, and we still don't know how to talk to girls because the women are not consistent. But and over the past 5 or 10 years, men have learned why try to learn how to talk to girls, set your standards, and expect them to adapt to your communication. If they don't pay attention and follow instructions, who gives a shit if they understood what you were saying? Because if they're not applying themselves to try to figure it out, then why put in all the effort? Because you're paying for this as the dude. As we seen, the other woman, she was complaining about having to step up and be the financial leader. She was complaining about how having to step up and contribute the other half of emotional security when both of them are feeling emotionally vulnerable. She was complaining about that. She was complaining about smoking her weed, being a parent, and then actually showing mutual respect to her husband at the same time. So yeah, that's crazy. Now Michael says, I wonder how far back in written history is the written conflict between man and women. Well, that depends. Are you going to go as far back as the first stages of the Bible with Adam and Eve, or are you going to go as far back into scientific history when the man had to club the woman over the head to get her to cooperate when he said, "Come on, let's go"? Uh, because if I remember correctly, if you mix science and religion together, that cave people existed before Adam and Eve. And if that is a fact, that cave people existed before Adam and Eve, then the women have always conflicted with men throughout history. But if we state that cave people existed after Adam and Eve, then technically she set him up for a downfall, and he didn't follow instructions, so there was conflict in the Garden of Eden as well. He said, "Not even. I forgot about the Bible." Look, hey, you asked. I was just like, hey, it kind of does make a little bit of sense. I just men and women have always been conflicted, and the reason being is because back in the past, well, okay, not 100% conflicted. Back in the past, when women used to be able to get smacked by their boyfriends and their husbands when they didn't pay attention, back when women were property, back when black people were slaves, in them days, men had more control over the relationship. Women had more respect for men. When men stopped slapping the taste out of women's mouths, women had less respect for men. Men are being raised by women. Women are not satisfied with the feminine men that are coming from multiple generations of men being forced to be raised by women. Now, the women are the reasons why the men are so feminine, because if the man is only being raised by a woman, a man knows how to behave the way a woman wants him to behave as far as being submissive, but women don't want submissive men. And that is a problem. If a woman does not want a man to be submissive, then she cannot teach a man to only bow to her authority. So between mom suppressing the man and sister suppressing the man, and then the girlfriend suppressing the man. And then when children are born, that child is left with the woman, because the woman is going to take the child from the father and then force child support out of the father and then suppress that child. And you've got second and third generation ultra feminine men, not because the men inherently are born feminine, but because the men are deprived of their fathers, uncles, and grandfathers that could have taught them more about how to be more masculine, how to be more self sufficient, independent, and capable of leading. But then on top of that, as you've seen the first woman on the show that was overly aggressive in her relationship about being the man in the relationship, the women are growing up to be the masculine man that women want, and then the feminine men that are taught and trained to be submissive and obedient to the woman aren't attractive, because the woman wants to be led by a leader, but she doesn't want to be controlled. Her fear of being controlled requires her to rebel against any leadership, and that conflict in her own mind prevents her from finding a masculine man that she would be happy with. Because ultimately, in order for her to feel happy, she has to have somebody who will take control of the situation so that she doesn't have negative recourse, but also he doesn't give her any instructions. So, what she's looking for is a butler. What she's looking for is a servant. What she's looking for is a security guard that's going to dive in the way of conflict, take bullets for her, get destroyed for her, and she is oblivious to her environment because he's getting his ass whooped on her behalf and she doesn't know what's going on around her. Almost like Tom and Jerry with the girl cat that was wandering through society, and Tom was getting his ass whooped by society and she didn't know what was going on. And that is the relationship. As long as that's the case, there isn't any conflict. But let the man have to tag her in to hold the fort down. Nah. Soon as she got to get in the ring and start fighting, oh my God, he's not masculine enough. But if you want a Terminator 2 kind of man, when he says, come with me, you should have to come. When he says, get down, she should get down. Boogie, oogie, oogie. Right? There's no male role models to understand what a man is today. You're right. Since every man is raised by a woman, and then every man that's raised by a woman has sisters that also bully the man into obedience, especially if the sister's the older sister. The only time you start seeing a responsible man, if he's one of the older children or at least one of the more responsible children out of the group, then that man is able to lead the household financially, pay the bills, and make sure that the house doesn't fall under. However, beyond that, do what your woman tells you to do is what women are going to teach other men, right? Now, after that, the girlfriends are going to be the same way. Oh, well, if you want sex, you must do as I say, because women will withhold intimacy until she gets what she wants, just like the first and third guy, or first and second guy, stated in the show. was that, the girlfriend was not doing what they wanted, what they should have done, because the woman wasn't satisfied with the man's behavior. A woman will close herself off. She will be dodging hugs and kisses from you, and, oh, I got a headache, and roll over and don't touch me, and withholding intimacy. And she will keep that up for hours, days, weeks, until he folds and does what she wants. Then, when he does what she wants, then she will start giving him the intimacy, and probably in some situations, make up intimacy on top of it, because he's getting everything that she wants. That psychological and emotional abuse, where you withdraw affection until you get what you want and then provide affection as long as you're getting what you want, conditions the men into not being the masculine men to stand on top of their assertiveness. So no, you're not going to have any men teaching any other men how to be men in a scenario where those men are still simping on the women. That's going to be a scenario where, if the 15-year-olds are watching the 20-year-olds behavior, they're caving. They're caving. Then the 20-year-olds are watching the 40-year-olds like, nah, fuck that dude. We don't got to do all that. The 40-year-old dudes are learning from the 70-year-old dudes. Nah, we don't got to do that. I put a calendar on the door and let them put their appointment time up here. And if they show up, they show up. If they don't, they don't. I'm not begging nobody to come in. I'm not paying nobody, nothing. I'm not asking for shit. They offer. If they don't offer, fuck them. We grow into that mentality. But we grow into that mentality after years and years and person after person of being rejected and then being trained. After a while, we realize, shit, I'm the reason why she's here. She's here for what I did in my life, the money, the stuff. She's here for what I did in my life. Why am I putting so much effort into begging her to come and spend my money and use my shit? At the end of the day, if she's going to be spending my money and using my shit, I should at least be able to have control over how it happens. That's when we start putting our foot down. Now, that goes back to what Michael said. Oh, living in her house, living in her parents' house, get out. Nah, fuck that shit. If your girl wanted you to move in with her and you moved in with her and she living with her parents and her parents is fitting the bill, that's fine. But you need to get yourself a job in the area. You need to be able to get back on your feet. You move for the sake of her, but when you move for the sake of her, you should have moved for the sake of stability. Because long distance relationships don't work. They don't. People can lie and say that they can be. If you have a solid marriage, if you have a solid long-standing relationship already, and then y'all have to spend a few months apart, and then you're going to come back to living in the same house, then that means y'all can have a temporary long-standing relationship. But if your relationship started abroad, it's not going to work. If your relationship stays long distance for years, it's not going to work. Y'all are going to grow apart. Absence can make the heart grow fonder when you're around one another every day. So 2 or 3 weeks, a couple of months away from one another, and then y'all come back, that's fine. You know, because being under one another every day of the week is not healthy, and being away from one another for multiple years is not healthy either, not for the strength of the relationship. So I don't think that there's a problem with the man living in the woman's parents' house with the woman, but I do believe that if there's a man in the house, that he can get advice from the man in the house, as he don't have direct access to his parents and mail advice from back home. He can get advice from the man in his house. But one of the things I also understand is that the psychological and emotional abuse that he's experiencing from this girl, if you don't want to get that, then your next step is to get you a bus pass and get the fuck on. So back to what Michael said, get your stuff and get out. Yeah. If the girl all your stuff is in her closet, in her bedroom, and she treating you like shit, and she's treating you like shit because you don't have any money, you don't have any resources, you're something to do because her financial provider is her mom and dad. So you bring no value to her life outside of the emotional punching bag. And society is going to treat her like crap because she has a piss poor behavior, and she's going to vent that out on you. So yeah, that's going to trickle down to you getting the brunt of the abuse. You don't want to take that, bro. You got to get out. That's what's going on. He said, you mean women using sex as leverage? That's why I always carry hundreds. Bro, that's what I'm telling you, like I'm not even gonna put up with that. He said, "Good night. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Remember to start your morning on a positive note, Otis." But yeah, I'm with you on that, Michael. It's like you got to carry on. So when he moved over there, the first thing he should have did was made sure that he had money to cover himself. You know, he should have had a couple $1,000, few $1,000. He ain't had to have 100 grand, but he could have moved over there with like $5 or $10,000 so that he had a little bit of money to help him hold himself down until he got on his feet. Even if he stayed at her parents' house to save money, the money that he had in his pocket should have been capable of holding him down until he could get himself a job and start generating an income so that he can get himself a place. Because if he rent the room from the mama and them in like a mother-in-law suite or something like that, then you're in a position where you can maintain your autonomy. Date the girl, be a tenant, be responsible, and then get you a job, maintain the job for a few weeks, get you a couple paychecks in there, show that you make 3 times the rent, and then move into another place. And that's the best way to go. So I'm with you on that one. Now we got. Let me take it back a couple seconds. We got this other lady. We're gonna go ahead and touch base with this one.
Like breaking free.
See what's going
I
on here.
hate her.
Am I overthinking? So my husband has been complaining about issues with one particular woman at work. Every time I went in the store they seemed all friendly towards each other. Now my husband hasn't ever given me any reason to doubt, however this woman has been sticking out straightforward in his mind. Like it bothers him that she started acting petty out of nowhere. I personally don't like her. I met her, I could tell what kind of woman she is right off the rip. So I'm trying to figure out why is he so bothered. Was there micro-cheating going on at work, like his work bestie? Did he always not like her and her pettiness is just stating? I have no idea if I am overthinking this or is my head correct. I dunno, I just need someone to talk about this with. It was over a sweatshirt and yesterday a banner. I'm so confused and feel sad.
Left skid marks in bed with my wife of 9 years. Basically what the title says. I sometimes sleep naked. About a week ago. Skid marks in bed.
All right. We gotta go back to the other one. Um, and then I'm gonna run that back real quick. So let's he says skid works in bed. We gonna talk about that one. Let's go back. So we got the chick. Okay, she's got the she's overthinking the situation. Now, I have a problem where women strongly believe from time to time that there's like different levels of cheating only when it applies to men, but the same rules don't apply to women. There isn't a micro cheating. You're either cheating or you're not. You need to, truth be told, at the beginning of your relationship, you need to really be able to identify what cheating is. You have physical cheating, and then you have non-physical cheating. The standard observation of undisputed cheating is the physical cheating. That is going to have sex with someone else outside of the relationship. It is kissing somebody else or receiving a kiss by somebody else, specifically on the mouth, sometimes involving tongue. These are observations of cheating. When you start talking about the non physical cheating, the extra attention to somebody else, the emotional bonds being built with somebody else, the platonic cheating. Apparently, when we talk about that, it only applies to men. But truth be told, if it's wrong when men do it, it should be wrong when women do it too. But you're supposed to be able to socialize with other people platonically, not flirtatiously, and be able to interact with other individuals without that social interaction being identified as micro cheating. Okay, so actually, I should probably cover that on the show one day. Like, what is the different levels of cheating, and is micro cheating really a thing? We should probably look that up. Now, um, She goes to the job. Him and her work together. They don't really have beef, as she can see when they're when she's at the job. But when he comes from the job, he got problems with his chick. Now, this could be that because he is required to work on the job one on one with this other woman, because you said that they're in the store. So if they're in a restaurant, he's the cook and she's the server, they're in the building by themselves, they have no customers. To prevent his wife from feeling insecure about him being left in the building with her unsupervised, that he will always complain about her so that his wife does not feel threatened. That can be a thing. Um, there is also the fact that he actually has no interest in this girl and she's being nice or overly nice on the job, but she also does dumb stuff. He could be complaining about the fact that, regardless of the fact that he has no connection to this girl at all, that she does dumb shit at the job. And it's on the forefront of his mind specifically because it made his job harder. Okay. None of this has anything to do with him masking an affair. If the guy didn't want his girl to know that he was involved with the girl on the job, he would never, ever talk about her positively or negatively. Okay. If the guy was having a mini cheating scenario where they had some kind of a work wife relationship kind of thing where he was emotionally attached to her on the job platonically, he would not talk about her to his wife um, or his girlfriend, because smart men do not bury two bones in the same backyard. Okay. So if he's got one bone over here, the other bone will be buried in another yard. They will not accidentally come in contact with one another. So, understandably, he's complaining about this chick because she does stupid shit. That is not something for you to get offended by. That is not something for you to um, um, treat him negatively with. But it is something for you to pay attention to, because a lot of times, because you said that you met her, you know her, you don't like some of her ways, we find fault in other people based on our observations of the faults that we perform. Because you can only identify somebody fucking up by making that mistake yourself. We can only find fault in someone else that we have in ourselves, right? With this being said, we can recognize that the girl that we're talking to is pissing off our man on a regular basis with her dumbass behavior. Well, whatever she's doing that's pissing him off, you should make sure that you're not doing the same stuff at the house, because that could be the ultimate reason why he's complaining about it at the house. Because the other reason why a man would complain about insignificant things that another woman is doing on the job is because, hypothetically, if you were doing that, that would piss me off. So if I'm in a restaurant, I'm supposed to be the lead person on the shift. I'm trying to talk to a customer, and my coworker, she's talking over me while I'm trying to communicate with the customer. She's devaluing me in front of the customer, making it seem like I don't know what I'm talking about, which negatively impacts my ability to make money. Right? Now, the wife or girlfriend hearing this is, oh, she's just a bitch. Right. But take that scenario and put yourself into that same context. My wife talks over me when I'm in a conversation in public. She devalues my opinions when I'm talking to people that we value. And then those people lose respect for me. Oh, shit. You're doing the same thing. Now, if you recognize that, now you need to understand, when he talks, don't inquire. You either agree with him or you abstain your opinion. If you have something to say to him about what he said, you say it after everybody left when it's just the two of y'all. But if you have a disagreeing observation, You don't voice it. You can laugh off the comment and agree with him, or excuse yourself from the conversation when he starts talking about something you don't agree with. You can excuse yourself to the bathroom. You can excuse yourself for a phone call. You can excuse yourself because you allegedly forgot something in the car and walk away from the conversation so that you do not have to chime into that conversation. But you do not ever have to talk bad about your man or disagree with your man in any way, shape, or form in a social environment, whether it's in public or in your house. Now, for the sake of uniformity, no matter how dumb your girlfriend or your wife sounds, as a man, you are not supposed to devalue her or her opinion in front of other people. Because if you got a dumb chick, what does that say about you? Okay, so if you have to provide a correction, you provide that correction to her after the fact. Educate her on the topic that she was talking about. If y'all know what kind of conversations you're going to be talking about, you can kind of cue her in on the information so that she knows what's going on before the conversation starts so that she doesn't feel dumb or say something dumb. However, in a situation where a conversation comes up about a topic that she has no knowledge in, if she has not excused herself from the conversation, that is the best time to ask her to get something for you that causes her to leave the conversation so that she doesn't make an ass out of herself. Now, women don't like being told what to do. Women do not like being corrected. But if the man says, sweetheart, can you go to the car and grab whatever, whatever? Instead of her, why you didn't get it when we was at the car, blah, 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 blah. If she was like, oh shit, that's the cue to exit this conversation. So let me, all right, honey, and go to the car. You don't have to necessarily go to the car. If you're a smoker, you can go outside and light up a cigarette. And by the time you finish the cigarette, you come back without whatever he sent you to the car for, because he didn't actually send you to the car to get something. He sent you to the car to have you leave the conversation. If y'all were at the house and he said, "Honey, can you go in the kitchen and make us some coffee?" You could go in the kitchen and go and make the coffee and never come back with the coffee. You could go in the kitchen, make the coffee, drink the coffee, never come back with the coffee. The purpose of him asking you to go in the other room and find something else to do was to remove yourself from the equation without embarrassing you or you embarrassing yourself. So if he asks you to go, respectfully leave. But because he gave you that instruction to go for whatever reason and do whatever, that is your cue to say, I got it out now. Instead of putting your foot in your mouth, like in those questions where the guy walks up and asks a couple, would you take a Bitcoin or $100? And the girl's like, oh, $100 because a coin is just a coin. If she would have said, you know what, I'm gonna let my man answer that question. It prevents her because she don't know what the hell a Bitcoin is. She could I'll just let him answer that question, and whatever he say, that's it, right? That prevents her from putting herself in a position to look like an idiot. That is also the job of the man, is to shield her from looking like an idiot. So in moments where she doesn't know what the hell's going on, that is the moment where she's supposed to retreat from the conversation instead of trying to pretend like because she's got a bachelor's degree that she deserves to be the loudest person in the conversation. That's not always the case. But in situations where she knows more about the topic than the man, men are smart enough to say, I'm going to divert to my wife for that because she specializes in it, which gives you the floor to answer the question. But it also allows you to know that he's smart enough to know that he doesn't know what's going on here. And he's smart enough to defer the answer to somebody who knows, right? These are things that we don't talk about. And these are the things that uh, relationships we should really be focused on. So, really, I think that it's pretty entertaining that you ask, but I've got to say, listen to the man and then find ways to adapt to it. Now we're gonna back up a little bit because I know that I had a delay because I'm trying to hear it after it's said because the sound ain't working on the sound system right now. So let me go ahead and see what's going on with the next one.
Left skid marks in bed with my wife of 9 years. Basically what the title says. I sometimes sleep naked. About a week ago, I went to bed after using the toilet, and when I got up again shortly after, there were not only skid marks but a little bit of shit on the sheets. My wife noticed it. She didn't make a big deal out of it, but I was terrified, and I'm still so very embarrassed. I swear to God I'm normally perfectly capable of wiping my own ass. I really don't know how this could happen. Never left the slightest skid marks anywhere ever before. My wife says everything's fine, but I feel like she must disgusted, and I'm so embarrassed. I really don't know how to continue with my embarrassment and looking for some advice on that. Left skid marks in bed with my wife of 9 years. Basically what the title says. I sometimes sleep naked. About a week ago, I went to bed after using the toilet, and when I got up again shortly after,
Okay, that's gonna I'm gonna have to buffer through that. Okay, so here's the thing, buddy. I think this one's entertaining. So if your woman does your laundry, it doesn't matter if it is accidental or on purpose. Most people, most people, men, women, and children, at some point end up out of their 8 to 12 hours of wearing the same underpants, have streaks in their drawers. When you're sick, whether you have diarrhea, whether you have a sickness of some kind like irritable bowel syndrome, or if you have uh, gastrointestinal issues, gastritis that causes um, extra farting and stuff to that effect, and some of that can actually turn into being liquid, and you can find yourself with it not just being the fact that you didn't wipe, it's just the fact that bodily fluids flow whether you want them to or not. Okay. And if she does your laundry, especially if she's the kind of person that turns your underpants inside out and then wash them, she's going to see those streaks. Now, if you sleep naked, and I would recommend that you don't, but if you sleep naked and you left a stain in the bed, it's not a log. You didn't like actually drop out a whole like deuce on the bed. You had like some streaks on the bed where it kind of got between the butt cheeks, and your sphincter kind of released a little bit more than what you thought you had from before. The older you get, the more likely that's going to happen. To fix this solution, I would say no longer sleep naked in the bed. At least carry you some boxers or some briefs. Specifically, if you have boxers or briefs, you could do briefs. You could do like the what they call them now, boy shorts that the girls wear with her like the tight fit boxer briefs that are kind of like clingy around the gluteus maximus area where you can kind of at least just wear that to bed. And that way, if any event that this type of accident occurs again, it'll be in your shorts instead of on the mattress. And then change your underpants when you get out of bed in the morning. Typically, people should change their clothes twice a day because you should put on what is called bed clothes. And then you have your out of bed clothes. And if you're lingering around the house before you leave the house, you have your bed clothes, you have your around the house clothes, and then you have your leave the house clothes, which would likely have you change out of your bed clothes into your around the house clothes, and then change out of your around the house clothes into your leave the house clothes, which should likely have you change your underpants 2 to 3 times a day. Now, if any event that these skid marks and streaks are happening throughout the day, you can go to a doctor, potentially add more fiber, um, because that could be a health issue. Change some of the things that you're eating, reduce some of the stress that you're having, because these are things that can fix your situation with your irritable bowel syndrome. But bro, if you're dating a chick that's not doing your laundry and you left stains in the bed like that, she's going to have a problem. But she would have had a problem the moment you got out of the bed and there were streaks in the bed. However, On the other side of the fence, if she's always doing your laundry, bro, she done seen them streaks at least 4 times a month. At least 4 times a month. Every load of laundry that is done, there's at least one pair of briefs that's got some streaks in them, which is one of the reasons why it's encouraged when we were talking to you guys on Saturday, yesterday, about buying dark colored clothes, stainage. If you're wearing white briefs, those Fruit of the Loom underpants, it is easier to see the streaks. It's not as easy to see the streaks in a situation where they're black or dark blue or something to that effect, the darker colored underpants, which typically are colored in the briefs or the boxer briefs, that you don't have to worry about that. So just for the sake of, excuse me, I'm gonna say don't don't sleep naked in the bed anymore, bro. Since you're leaving streaks in the mattress, you're leaving streaks on the sheets. Um, don't sleep naked anymore. But typically, on a healthy side of things, though, for the sake of intimacy, you are not supposed to see each other naked unless you're intending on getting intimate with one another, because getting naked is supposed to be the psychological trigger of intimacy. So if you guys are lingering around each other naked, you get used to each other being naked, and then you lose the desire of intimacy while naked because it's normally y'all aren't intimate when you're naked. Likewise, that's one of the reasons why they started developing lingerie and sexy clothes that women wear certain outfits to bed that indicate that they're willing to get intimate versus non-sexy clothes when they indicate that they're not willing to get naked, right? Not willing to get intimate. Changing from your around the house clothes to your bed clothes is a routine that psychologically triggers you to recognize that it's time for bed and also time to get out of bed. The effort it puts you into getting out of bed, and you're not getting back into the bed while you're wearing your out around the house clothes, you will find yourself less likely to be in the bed on a regular basis, right? Then going through the motions of changing into the leave the house clothes psychologically triggers you to get ready to leave the house, and also psychologically triggers you to rest after being outside of the house. Then on top of that, if you're taking your out of the house clothes off and then putting on your around the house clothes, whatever you experience in your environment does not get left on your couch, on your sofa, whatever your armware, whatever, right? So you go somewhere, let's say that there's some germs or bacteria or whatever the case is somewhere else from your out of the house clothes. If you change when you come back to your house and put that into the laundry, then when you come back into the house is old is semi quarantined, right? Come into the house, take off your shoes, go change first, put on some comfortable clothes, and then go and sit on the couch, and then go have dinner, this, that, and the third. Or even better, come into the house, take off your shoes, go take a shower, then put on some comfortable clothes, and then come. That takes the filth from the outside of your house off of your body, and then you're inside of your house, keeping your house cleaner. And that same mentality can apply to getting ready for bed, taking another shower, and then putting on go to bed clothes. So that's what I have as a recommendation for you for that. Now, let's go ahead. I think we got one more. Let's go ahead and touch base on this last one. We got
There
to
were
work
not only
through
skid
the
marks but a little bit of
sound
shit on the
here.
sheets. My wife noticed it. She didn't make a big deal out of it, but I was terrified and I'm still so very embarrassed. I swear to God I'm normally perfectly capable of wiping my own ass. I really don't know how this could happen. Never left the slightest skid marks anywhere ever before. My wife says everything's fine, but I feel like she must disgusted and I'm so embarrassed. I really don't know how to continue with my embarrassment and looking for some advice on that.
I've been pretending to understand my job for 8 months, and I think I've finally reached a level where I actually can't fake it anymore. Do I come clean to my boss or just keep going? So for context, I have a master's degree in something completely unrelated to this job. I got hired because I interviewed well, and apparently fast learner on a CV is legally binding. 8 months in and I've been surviving entirely on confident nodding, strategic use of the phrase, let me circle back on that, and a browser history that is just Stack Overflow and what is word my boss just said. The issue is that up until now the stakes have been low enough that vibes could carry me. That era has ended. There is a meeting on Monday with actual numbers and actual questions, and my boss just told me I'm leading it in a tone that suggested he thinks that's a reward. I have 4 days. I don't know if I should come clean, speedrun 8 months of learning in 96 hours, or simply walk into the ocean. What should I do?
Okay. So apparently, you got this job. You didn't know what the fuck you were doing. You lied on your application. You made it seem like you were a good learner. And now you've been doing this job. You've been on this job for the better part of a year, and you still don't know what the fuck you're doing. I don't know how you managed to do that. However, you are capable of getting information from your boss, and you are capable of doing your research and then regurgitating a solution to your boss. You maintain a level of confidence. You maintain a level of assertiveness. You believe what you're saying when you're talking to your boss, even though you don't know what you're doing. That is leadership material. This could get you promoted. In this situation, you do not have to have the answer to all the questions. You just have to have the confidence and the motivation to articulate how you will put in the effort to get the answers to certain questions. Now, your boss has you leading a presentation. Um, the work is getting done. Nothing's falling apart. You're accomplishing the goals. So all you need to do is maintain that confidence. All you need to do is maintain the capabilities to do the research on what you're supposed to be presenting, get all of the background information since at least over the last 8 months that you've been involved in the company, and potentially create projections in the direction of what you think the next 6 months should look like. That's not hard. Even though you don't know what you're doing, you know what everybody else around you is supposed to be doing. And you know that if any problems arose, you should have an idea of at least which team to talk to, if not which specific person on a team that you're going to be talking to. As a manager, you do not have to have the skill set of the workers in order to get the work done. You have to delegate the work to the parties that have the skill set to do the work. It's almost like if you were in a real estate business, you start up a real estate business, you don't have to have a real estate license to buy and sell the properties. You have to have a real estate agent or a real estate broker available to buy and sell the properties. You don't have to have a market analysis degree to know how to market your company. You can hire somebody to market your company. You do not have to have an accountant degree to know how to balance the budget and work the payroll. You can hire somebody to balance the budget and handle the payroll. You do not have to have a law degree to know about the taxation and any legal actions that could happen. You have the ability to hire tax agents and attorneys and put them on retainers to help you do those things. So, as a leader, your capabilities to maintain confidence and reassurance of your team's ability to perform, your company's ability to perform, and your ability to outsource for the solution. That's management material. And delegate the workload to the competent and capable and experienced individuals that are willing to and able to perform. That's all you have to do. So you're going to be going into a meeting, which could lead you to a promotion. Your promotion is going to now be, instead of getting the job done, getting somebody else to do the job for you, which is exactly what you need done because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. So you're really walking into an opportunity to get a raise, to not know what's going on, but be able to tell somebody else to go figure it out. Me, myself, I would dive on that shit. Don't abandon the job. Don't walk away from the situation. Don't walk out of a surefire thing. Because 5 years, 10 years down the line, you could still not know what the fuck is going on in this company. However, you got enough people below you to know what's going on. Because when you're in middle management, upper management is going to ask you what's happening in your department. uh, to the best of your ability, you thought that so and so scenario was working well. Somewhere along the lines, there is a failure. You're going to look into that failure and you're going to get back to them and debrief them on what happened. If something happened on your day off, you weren't here for that, you're going to look into it, you're going to get back to them. You're going to interview everybody that was involved. You're going to get the whole story. You're going to compile the information where you're hopefully not making anybody look bad. But if you need any scapegoats, you're going to try to wing it. Then you go and you knock this out. That's all you got to do. Outside of that, you are capable of putting the people in the place that they need to be in, right? That shuts down the whole situation. You're capable of running the show without having to know a single thing. Now, this is the American way. It's always been that way. The American dream was to get a damn good job that could help you pay for the house with the picket fence, the wife, 3 kids, and a dog, and 2 Teslas in the driveway. Right? This was the American dream. Back in the day, back like 50 years ago, it was like 2 Mustangs, a Mustang and a Camaro in the driveway. But it is still the American dream. And the job that you had to lie your way into the job, and then you had to lie your way until you got the experience. But you got a job that pays for what you need paid for. If you either like what you do or you like the money that you're getting paid from it, put forth the effort to keep the job. If you don't like the job and you don't like the money, fuck it. Put in your 2 weeks. But truth be told, this is the reason why they put you in a training period. You faked it for 8 months, bro. That's it. You did it. That's your position, bro. Nobody else is gonna be able to fake it like you. Own that shit. Now, that was the last one. We had a little bit of technical issue today, but we were able to get through it. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about some changes with the AI tech and how that's going to impact the stock market. We're going to be talking about that stuff tomorrow. We've got our credit card topic for Tuesday. We've got, I believe, turkey for Wednesday. So we've got our whole next week set up. You're going to start seeing us over the next few days putting up the next week's topics up there. So we're going to see like next week's and part of the week after that's topics up there. So I want you to make sure that you guys like and subscribe and y'all follow the show. Before we walk out of here, I'm going to say, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And fellas, I give y'all this information to help y'all become higher value men. Hands down, guys, y'all have to pay attention to the things in your life that you're capable of controlling and make the necessary changes to change the things that you don't like, and then navigate around things that you cannot control. This is how you improve your life, right? And ladies, while this is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective, you too can take the information that I give you and help you make yourself a higher value woman by finding your 20-year plan, finding your end goal, figuring out reverse engineering and figuring out how to get to that end goal, and then proactively putting forth the effort to accomplish that goal. And throughout your accomplishments, you keep your eyes and ears open for the type of suitor that is able to mesh with your end goal, where you do not have to deviate from your end goal, but you are capable of meshing their goals and ambitions into your goals and ambitions, or vice versa, where y'all can start working together to achieve your goals. I've told you guys plenty of times before where two $40,000, $50,000 a year people can come together and become millionaires in less than 10 years. Y'all can be multimillionaires in 20 years, but y'all working together towards the same goal makes you successful faster than every man for himself living under the same roof, right? So I want y'all to think about that. And then I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Higher ground! Used to chase validation, now I validate My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.